What if one ordinary-looking US coin hiding in your pocket, drawer, or old collection could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? In today's video, we're uncovering 4 rare and valuable American coins that collectors would never want to spend. From an early 1910 wheat penny to a 1950-60 Roosevelt dime, these old coins carry history, collector demand, and potentially shocking value. So before you spend another old penny or dime, check the date, mint mark, and condition, because your next coin could be a hidden treasure. First up, there's a reason an old penny can make a collector stop mid-search. And this 1910 wheat penny is exactly the kind of coin that deserves a second look. At first glance, it may seem like an ordinary old cent, but its age, original design, and surviving condition can make it a fascinating piece of American history. The 1910 Lincoln wheat penny was produced during an important period in the United States. Theodore Roosevelt's presidency had just ended, William Howard Taft was in the White House, and America was rapidly moving into a new industrial age. Just 1 year earlier, the Lincoln cent had been introduced, making these early issues especially interesting to collectors today. This coin was created for everyday commerce, but more than a century later, many examples have disappeared, worn down, or been damaged. On the front, you'll see the portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right. Around him are the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date, 1910. This example carries no mint mark, which indicates it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. On the reverse, 2 wheat ears frame the central inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America, while E pluribus unum appears above them. That simple wheat design is one of the most recognizable images in early American coinage. Technically, this is a standard bronze Lincoln cent. It weighs approximately 3.11 grams, measures about 19.05 millimeters across, and is approximately 1.52 millimeters thick. Its edge is plain, with no lettering or reading. The traditional composition is primarily copper, with small amounts of tin and zinc. Now here is what makes the search exciting. A 1910 wheat penny in fine to very fine condition can attract serious attention because collectors care deeply about preservation. They inspect Lincoln's portrait, the lettering, the wheat ears, date visibility, surface quality, color, scratches, corrosion, and signs of cleaning. Original surfaces matter because a naturally preserved coin can be much more desirable than one that has been polished or chemically cleaned. Collectors continue searching for early wheat cents like this, and attractive original examples become harder to find as time passes. Certain specimens have sold for impressive prices, while demand remains strong among collectors who specialize in early Lincoln cents. Auction records, certified examples, and eye appeal can all influence what a particular coin is ultimately worth. And this is where the story gets even more interesting. In today's collector market, this 1910 wheat penny 1 cent can be valued at approximately $220,000, an incredible difference from its original face value of just 1 cent. Its age, history, condition, originality, and collector demand can all influence its value. But remember, condition is everything. Do not spend this coin. Never clean it. Even if it looks dark, dirty, or dull, those original surfaces could be important. Cleaning can leave scratches or unnatural surfaces that collectors immediately notice. If you believe you have a valuable example, handle it carefully, protect it in a proper holder, and professional grading may be worthwhile. So before you toss an old penny into a jar, drawer, or cash register, take another look at the date. That tiny 1910 could represent more than a century of American history, and potentially a coin collectors would want to investigate very closely. And if you think this old wheat penny is interesting, keep watching, because the next coin in this search may have an even more surprising story waiting to be uncovered. Next up, some old coins tell their story through a beautiful shine. Others tell it through every mark they have survived. And this 1962 Roosevelt dime is the kind that can make you look twice before putting it back in a jar. The year 1962 was a fascinating moment in American history. The United States was entering the space race era. Everyday life was changing rapidly, and the nation was producing enormous numbers of coins for ordinary commerce. This dime was never intended to become a treasure. It was made to be spent, carried in pockets, dropped into vending machines, and passed from hand to hand. More than 6 decades later, however, surviving examples can attract serious collector attention. On the obverse, the coin features the familiar portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt facing left. Around the portrait are the inscriptions "Liberty, in God we trust," and the date 1962. Just above the date, the small D mint mark identifies this coin as a Denver Mint issue. Turn it over, and you'll find a powerful reverse design. A torch stands at the center, surrounded by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. The inscriptions read, "United States of America, 1 dime, and e pluribus unum." It's a compact design, but every detail gives collectors something to inspect. This standard Roosevelt dime was made from a silver alloy used for U.S. dimes of the period, approximately 90% silver and 10% copper. It weighs about 2.50 grams, measures approximately 17.91 millimeters in diameter, and is about 1.35 millimeters thick. Its edge is reeded, with the familiar series of grooves running around the coin. The D mint mark matters because it tells you where the coin was produced, but this is not being presented as an error or unusual variety. What collectors focus on here is the coin itself, its age, preservation, originality, and overall appeal. And then there's the condition. A fine condition example showing brown and black spots may have experienced environmental exposure or surface discoloration. Collectors will closely inspect Roosevelt's portrait. The date, lettering, torch details, rim, reading, scratches, corrosion, and especially whether the surfaces appear natural. Attractive original examples become harder to find, while damaged or aggressively cleaned coins can lose significant collector appeal. Collectors continue searching for examples like this, and auction activity can show just how dramatically values vary depending on the exact specimen. A coin's certified grade, originality, eye appeal, and buyer demand can all influence the final price. Now comes the number that makes this Roosevelt dime worth a much closer look. From an original face value of only 10 cents, this 1,962 with D Roosevelt dime, 1 dime can reach approximately $125,000 in today's collector market. Collectors look closely at preservation, surviving examples, historical significance, and demand. If you ever come across one, do not spend this coin. Never clean it, even if those brown or black spots make it look unattractive. Original surfaces matter. Scrubbing, polishing, or chemical cleaning can permanently damage the coin's collector appeal. Keep it protected, avoid unnecessary handling, and if the coin appears promising, professional grading may be worthwhile. So the next time you search through an old collection, don't rush past the dimes. Check the date. Check the mint mark. Check the surfaces. A coin that once bought only 10 cents could be hiding a story far more valuable than anyone expected. And the search doesn't stop here. Keep watching, because the next old coin could have another detail that makes collectors take a very serious second look. Next up, imagine finding a penny that has been sitting unnoticed for nearly a century. No flashy error, no unusual mint mistake, just an old 1928 wheat penny that survived decades of American history. That's exactly why experienced collectors slow down and inspect coins like this very carefully. The 1928 Lincoln wheat penny was produced during the final years of the Roaring Twenties. America was experiencing rapid growth. Automobiles were becoming common, radios were transforming entertainment, and everyday commerce depended heavily on coins like this. This penny was made for ordinary spending, but surviving examples have now become pieces of American history. On the obverse, you'll see Victor David Brenner's famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right. The inscriptions read, "In God we trust. Liberty," and the date, 1928. Because this example has no mint mark, it indicates production at the Philadelphia Mint. On the reverse are the two familiar wheat ears surrounding 1 cent and United States of America with E pluribus unum positioned above. That simple wheat design is one of the most recognizable images in American coin collecting. This standard issue Lincoln cent was made primarily from bronze, with a traditional composition of about 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. It weighs approximately 3.11 grams, measures about 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and is roughly 1.52 millimeters thick. The edge is plain, without reading or lettering. For collectors, the no mint mark detail is important because it identifies the Philadelphia Mint, but it does not automatically make the coin a rare error or special variety. What matters here is the complete package: age, preservation, originality, and collector demand. A very fine example can still show considerable detail. Collectors will inspect Lincoln's hair and facial features, the date, the lettering, the wheat ears, rims, and overall surface quality. They also look for scratches, corrosion, environmental damage, discoloration, and especially evidence of cleaning. Attractive original examples become harder to find because countless old cents were heavily circulated, stored poorly, or altered over the decades. Collectors continue searching for examples like this, and auction activity demonstrates how dramatically prices can vary depending on grade and quality. Certain specimens have sold for impressive prices, while demand remains strong for well-preserved early Lincoln cents. Survival rarity, certified condition, eye appeal, and buyer demand can all influence the final market result. Here's where this old wheat penny gets truly interesting. Although it originally carried a face value of just 1 cent, collectors today may value an example like this at approximately $250,000. Its age, condition, original surfaces, historical importance, and collector demand all play a role. That figure represents the collector market value specified for this example, not a guaranteed price for every 1928 penny. And this is where you need to be careful. Do not spend this coin. Never clean it. Original surfaces matter. Even if the penny looks dark or dirty, polishing can leave scratches and unnatural surfaces that experienced collectors immediately notice. Protect it in a suitable holder, handle it by the edges, and if the coin appears unusually well preserved, professional grading may be worthwhile. So check those old jars, boxes, and inherited collections. Many people unknowingly spend coins that collectors would stop to examine. If you find a 1928 wheat penny, slow down and look closely. The smallest details may be the ones that matter most. And keep watching, because the next coin in this hidden treasure hunt could give you another reason to check every old coin before it disappears back into circulation. Next up, sometimes the most interesting coin in a collection isn't the one that looks perfect. It's the one that makes you wonder what happened to it over the decades. Take a close look at this 1956 Roosevelt dime. The black spots on the obverse may catch your attention immediately, but there's much more to examine before you decide this is just another old 10-cent coin. In 1956, America was deep into the post-war boom. New homes, highways, automobiles, and consumer products were reshaping everyday life, while the United States was entering an increasingly competitive space race. Coins like this dime were part of ordinary American commerce, moving through stores, pockets, banks, and cash registers for years. On the obverse, the coin carries John R. Sinnock's portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt facing left. Around the portrait are the inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date 1956. The small D mint mark identifies this as a Denver Mint production. On the reverse, you'll find a torch in the center, surrounded by an olive branch and an oak branch. The inscriptions read, "United States of America, one dime, and e pluribus unum." This was a standard silver Roosevelt dime. Its composition was approximately 90% silver and 10% copper. It weighs about 2.50 grams, measures approximately 17.91 millimeters in diameter, and is about 1.35 millimeters thick. The edge is reeded, with grooves running completely around the coin. The D mint mark is important because it tells collectors where this dime was produced, but it does not, by itself, indicate an error or unusual variety. The real focus here is the coin's condition, originality, surfaces, and overall collector appeal. And that obverse condition deserves a very close look. Those black spots can affect eye appeal, and collectors will carefully examine Roosevelt's portrait, the date, lettering, rim, torch details, reading, and the surrounding surfaces. They'll also look for scratches, corrosion, environmental damage, and any evidence that someone tried to clean or polish the coin. Why does that matter? Because original surfaces matter. A naturally preserved old silver dime can be much more desirable than one that has been scrubbed to make it appear brighter. Attractive original examples become harder to find, and collectors continue searching for pieces with genuine, undisturbed surfaces. Auction activity also shows that certified and exceptionally preserved Roosevelt dimes can attract strong collector interest. Now comes the number that makes this Roosevelt dime worth a much closer look. From an original face value of only 10 cents, it can reach approximately $140,000 in today's collector market, according to the value specified for this example. Collectors look closely at preservation, surviving examples, historical significance, originality, and demand. So that figure should not be assumed for every 1956 D dime. If you ever find one, do not spend this coin. Never clean it, even if the black spots make the surface look unattractive. Cleaning can permanently damage the original surfaces and reduce collector appeal. Handle it carefully by the edges, keep it protected, and if its condition appears especially strong, professional grading may be worthwhile. So before an old dime gets tossed into a cash drawer or spent without a second thought, check the date and mint mark. That tiny D could be the detail that tells you exactly where your 1956 dime came from. And keep watching, because there's still another old coin waiting in this search, and the next one could make you look at your collection in a completely different way.